This is gonna be discussing the funding of the public library and possible additional funding for the outhouse auditorium. Arbitorium.
Arboretum.
Arboretum?
All-house arboretum.
On-house arboretum. My pronunciation is not. Alright, so, I understand we do have some people that would like to discuss the public library. I'm gonna open that floor up to you guys.
Well, obviously, funding the public library has been an issue here lately, actually for several years. I did reach out to the library people just to get some data, some information about what we're talking about. The library depends on support, financial support from the people that use it. They collect donations from the municipalities that it serves. In this particular case, Pottstown, Lower Pottsgrove, West Pottsgrove, and Upper Pottsgrove is in their zone, in their responsibility zone. And the state pays Pottstown Library a certain amount based on the populations of the people in the zone. And so Upper Pottsgrove, with 6,000 people, has the state giving them almost $9,600. Well, they're gonna be cutting that off this year because Upper Pottsgrove for 4 years now has not paid our fair share. Our fair share is $5 per person of the population, which is round numbers, about $30,000. In the last 4 or 5 years, we haven't paid that. Lower's paid all theirs, they pay $62,000 a year. West Pottsgrove pays theirs almost $19,000 a year. Pottstown pays over what they are supposed to. They're only supposed to pay $117,000, but they pay $212,000. And so while they're paying their fair share, the state is kicking in an amount to match that. Upper Pottsgrove has been sitting here paying nothing. So, I mean, you know, they're the numbers, they're the hard numbers. And of course, when I was talking with them, they wanted to make sure we knew that this wasn't just books. There's a whole list of things here that the library does for us. It's just not a lending library. And so what's gonna happen is, we've been, again, I don't know, it's 4 or 5 years, the state has been kind of saying, oh, well, we'll still help you out, as long, you know, Upper Pottsgrove will pay next year. But at a certain point, they cut you off. And so the state is cutting off payment to the library this year for us, unless we start paying our fair share. And so that's why it's a timely issue, something that needs to be budgetarily considered now, because it affects the library going forward.
Tyrone, did you have any additional comments?
I wanna make sure we pay the library. We support the library.
I could have said it that way.
For our young people, we gotta support the library. That's it.
Kathy or Dave, did you have any comments?
I do. I'm gonna support the library too, but I think we had enough discussion tonight about where our finances are first. And that's what concerns me, because $30,000 is a lot right now. I sat here and watched money just fly out the door, you know, for 4 years, and it sickens me as to what's happened. So until I see a better picture from what we just discussed about hiring Matt Dallas to help us out, to see where did the money go? You know, we have a lot of need in the township, and I don't want to be painted as I don't support the library, Evan. Okay, I do. I have a lot of memories about that library from being, I know, but we need it too. And I don't know where we stand with our finances. Once I see that, then I can make a better decision.
And then it may be too late.
Huh?
And then it may be too late, because the state will
I
very
can't
comfortable.
help that. You know,
You
it's
can.
what's happened. And can we promise money that we need to put someplace else? I don't know. I just don't know. And it's the same thing with the Arboretum. I love the Arboretum. And I always thought we should give them more money. We give them $5,000. But where do we stand with our finances? I think that's what we need to do first. When are they cutting us off?
I don't know if there's somebody from the library show up with the dates. I don't know if someone's here.
We're all here.
Yeah,
We're all
I thought, again, it's all budgetary thing, and we're talking about budgetary stuff here. It's not like we're even giving them money tonight.
Right.
It's something that you need to
It's
see it in the
discussion.
budget. You know, you need to see it in the budget. which is, we could pay them 12 months from now, it's all in the budget. And I
Right.
believe that that's what you need to see, or the state needs to see, that it's budgetarily there. So I don't know the time frame and the cutoff and so forth, but just to respond, and I've been thinking about how to answer that, Kathy. It's $30,000 and we have, $10 million in the bank. We know that we want to use that for other things. That's supposed to be to build a building, but we're not building a building this year. We're probably not gonna have a building done, by the end of next year. The library isn't sitting on a $10 million fund. We are. We can make up $30,000 a lot easier than the library ever can. We're earning $200,000 or $300,000 a year on that money, just in interest. So yes, $30,000 is a lot, but out of $10 million, it's a quarter of a penny, relatively speaking. So I know people don't like to hear me when I talk about, $30,000 isn't much. But this is something that we're talking about spread over time as far as the need goes. We have the money right now, they don't. And they're gonna lose another almost $10,000 if we don't make a commitment. And I'd say the same thing about the Arboretum. I didn't have a chance to speak on the Arboretum yet, but they spend a lot of money on our behalf, and we don't pay them nearly enough to cover what they spend out of their funds. And I think we've been shorting them as well for a number of years. And yes, we need to get our act together, at least we need to figure out what money's coming in. But anyway, we've got the money now, they don't.
Dave, do you have any additional comment?
Yeah, I want to help the library, no doubt about it, but I am concerned about financing. And like Elvis says, we have time to pay this, and we do have the money to pay for it. I just want to see what $2 million got to over the last few years. But yes, I do support the library
All right, so
and the Arboretum as far as that goes.
I agree with the supporting the library. I agree
Absolutely,
with that,
yeah.
right? I do not agree with the library threatening to say they're going to remove Upper Potts Grove residents because a particular board said, no, we're not gonna fund them. If my understanding is correct, you're still state funded, you must adhere to the state and cannot deny Upper Potts Grove. But I do support you guys, and I think what you do is an admirable job, and I think it is a very important thing, and we should be supporting you. I just don't like the threat.
Yeah, but Al, keep in consideration, it's been going on for the past 4 or 5
I
years.
still don't like the threat, that's all. I agree with the support. I wouldn't have voted otherwise, right? Here's my thought, right? I have looked at the budget and went over this with Michelle as well, all right, before she left. The interest money is in the budget, so it's not that we actually have that in the budget. So it's already there as into how much money they expect to receive in interest and such like that. My issue has been, and I don't understand why this particular board, or majority of the board, right, continue to use what they would call their piggy bank, in essence, of having the sewer replaced money, and that money was just going to be sitting there, and we're just gonna use it as we see fit. We're never gonna raise taxes, we're never gonna do anything, we're gonna run an unbalanced budget every year and just use that money. Which is why it went from $12 million to $10 million. It's not a piggy bank. It's to be used for what it was actually purposed for. New buildings, new facilities, making sure that our police department is properly handled, making sure our public works department is properly handled, making sure that our staff in the municipality building is properly handled.
Our fire department.
And our fire department is, well, that's not part of the fire department. The fire department gets their own fire fund.
Yeah, they
It's
do,
different,
they do,
different thing.
but still,
Right.
there's,
So, what I would suggest is reopening the budget. Now, I understand the solicitor, I'll ask you, Mark, I understand, we can reopen the budget for discussion of possible things being added. Now, the things you have to look at, we have to hire a new township manager. That's going to cost. We already know we hired a company to do the township manager search, that was $13,000. We're paying $50,000 in rent to another building. We're looking at spending at least $10,000 to somewhat up to $30,000 for the public library. And also, you wanna try to give more money to the arboretum, right? Again, that's just, it's just, you can't just sit there and say, just give with no idea where the money's coming from. You can't operate, I don't understand how, that's not how a business board township should operate. My suggestion is to discuss and open up the budget. It must be go to the public for a 15-day, if I'm understanding, a 15-day advertising period. Has to be completed by our vote before February 15th.
Yes.
So it'd be at the next vote, which is February 15th. I don't think we meet before February 15th. I think it's like the 16th or 17th.
Yeah.
So the next meeting we would be voting would be the February 2nd, 1st, whatever day that is.
Whatever the first Monday.
Right, second. Right, I would recommend that you raise your taxes a quarter mil. A quarter millage will raise the district $75,000. It will cost $30 per household, valued at $120,000. That's the average, roughly, in Upper Pottsboro. Obviously, some people are higher, some people are lower, but that's the average. It will cost $30. I'm not saying you don't ever want to raise taxes, but if you continuously keep adding all of these expenses and don't moderately raise the taxes a little bit, you're going to get hit down the road with a huge tax increase, 3, 4, 5%, where you're gonna ask for like a mill, or you're gonna ask for $1.25 or something like that. And then you're talking about raising people's taxes $300-400 a year. I'm asking for $30. I know it's still $30. I'm not saying it's not, especially for our senior citizens who are being taxed out the wazoo. But I'm asking the board to consider opening up the budget to increase the millage by a quarter mil, to raise the money that we're looking for to balance this budget. Would the board consider that? I'm not saying but we can discuss it and such, but open the budget.
I think that's fair statement. Yeah.
I'm gonna say what Kathy said. I wanted to just give $30,000 out of 10 million to the library this year until we figured out what was going on. Now we're being asked to raise everybody's taxes without knowing what the budget says either.
I know what the budget, we know what the budget says, we got the budget.
Well,
The budget says we're at a $50,000 decrease,
but we
and we
also,
just added about $100,000 to it.
I guess I can't explain myself. I would be very reticent to raise taxes on a budget that we're talking about changing, that we don't even know what it is yet, if it's even necessary. I'm gonna ask the solicitor, as far as opening up the budget, my understand, especially if we're talking about raising taxes. I thought the purpose of that was when you had line items that had huge swings, not $30,000, when you had something that was a certain percentage different than, a line item you wanted to change by a certain percentage, which was greater than whatever, then you had to open up the budget. But we spend money, the townships spend money all the time that isn't strictly budgeted. Things come up, and they have funds, and they take it, and they just spend it. That doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good. So I'm just gonna repeat myself. I'm not in favor of raising taxes at this point in time. I know that at some point in the future, when we know what our requirement is from year to year, I know that this $10 million, whatever we have in the bank for the building, is it's a squishy number. It's a squishy. We don't know exactly how it's going to be spent or what the need is, and I'm repeating myself, but that is a year or two out. And if we have a budget line item that goes up by 10,000 or goes down by 10,000, it's not something we open up the budget for.
Okay. Kathy, what are your thoughts?
I have to say, it makes me nervous, and I guess it's past experience, for looking at that as a place to go for money, that $10 million, because that's what other people did. And we have no idea what we're in for right now with just settling contracts. I mean, we're gonna owe these people something.
Oh, yeah. $40,000.
Okay. And everything else that we're just unsure about right now. I'm not saying we're not gonna give the library, I just don't know when. Maybe in the middle of the year. I just feel I need a better read on where the money's going. Someone addressed me today, and I will say it was the fire department, that they have a question on where some of the funds went, per year. Like they were supposed to bring in a certain amount of money, and they didn't get that all put in the fire fund. Where did that money go? They don't know. I certainly don't know. Do you know?
Yeah.
No. Let's see where that money is. This is a substantial amount. There's things to be looked into, I think. I would feel more comfortable doing that. I do agree, let's open up the budget, let's do budget amendment. Whatever you do, let's relook at the budget and see what's going on.
Can I hear what the official process is for opening up a budget after it's been approved? The time frames we're working with,
Right.
the cost involved, the public involvement, so forth. Just remind me what all's involved in that.
I need to put a summary together for that for you.
Okay, well, no, we needed it for the discussion now. I just know that there is a certain time frame after
Right.
the beginning of the year. I know there's a certain percentage of changes involved, especially if you're talking about a tax increase now. That requires probably more than we can do, even investigate within the short period of time we had to open up, to crack open a budget at the beginning of the year. I mean, that's my recollection, of how these things go, but I don't know for sure, so.
I'd like to find out exactly when the cutoff date is.
February
Make-
15th.
Make sure the library gets their money prior to our cutoff.
You can't do that. See, the problem is you have until February 15th to decide if you want to open up the budget in time to advertise it for the 15-day period and vote for it. Even if you brought in even if we decided to say we're gonna have a special meeting simply for voting on the budget so we can make sure we make that February 15th time period, you can simply say, I don't care what we're doing, we're not opening the budget, but I'm giving the library $30,000, just, here you go, here's a check for $30,000. You can do that, right? But again, you have to understand, when you talk, we saw the budget, there's, right now, $50,000 in rent. These are all additions, $50,000 in rent,
Right.
right? $13,000 to hire a company to look for a township manager. The cost of the township manager, the cost of, we call it hiring a new police chief,
Right.
the cost of $30,000 or whatever you decide for the public library,
Understood.
right? These are the cost of a particular piece of litigation that we're gonna discuss and whether or not we make the settlement on it. That's another added cost,
Very good.
right? Right now, none of those are in the budget.
Okay, but you can't put a cost on our young people not being able to use the library or our residents not being able to use the library.
I agree with you.
So.
I'm just trying to
I think it's
budget, just
very
to balance it.
important That we make sure the library, even if we give them $10,000
Mhm.
in good faith, so they know we're gonna have more dollars coming
Right.
forward.
But as Elwood said, the state will not give them money if we don't put it in our budget.
Okay. So that's something we have to do.
But that means you have to open the budget.
Okay. All right. I just wanna make sure the library gets their money. That's where I'm at.
Go ahead, sir.
I got a quick question. I mean, I hear you guys saying we've got 10 million in the bank, and we're not gonna be building a new building anytime soon or next year. Well, if you invested that $10 million, what
It
kind
is.
of return
It
would
is.
you
It
get on
is.
that?
It is. So,
They get about $300,000
Yeah,
a year.
it is.
Yeah, it's invested.
it's invested.
Okay, but so I sit there and I think to myself, well, wouldn't that $10 million cover some of this stuff you're talking about? The
Sure.
30,000 to
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
library?
it's invested and the investment's actually already in the budget as in how much money they expect to earn from the investment.
Okay.
That keeps us, that has been keeping
I
the
mean,
budget at
it
the
makes
deficit
sense.
at a lower
And it
number.
makes sense to me what you're saying about the budgeting, that if you've already written the budget and closed it, now you've gotta go back through the process of opening it up to make amendments to it, which then ties into, can you really pay the library the $30,000, because it's not really in our budget, and the state won't pay them, so it becomes kind of like a circular.
Correct.
Circular argument almost.
Correct. Same thing happens for, let's say that the township decides to do exactly what the previous board said, and they're gonna use the entire $10 million to build a building. And tax-free, no building, everything like that. There was no plan on what to do with the existing police chief's building. There was no plan what to do with the vacant buildings. There was no plan how to balance the budget that you weren't gonna receive of that $300,000.
To be honest, that was one of my concerns about building a new township building is what's gonna happen to the old properties,
Yeah.
because I don't wanna see like a Wawa show up where the maintenance and police building is.
Yeah, you use that full $10 million, guess what? Now the district has to come up, the township has to come up with the $300,000 in interest it was receiving.
But I guess.
Now you have to come up with an additional
Still,
$300,000.
My point is, so if we're sitting on $10 million in the bank and we're investing it, that should give us some comfort, and we don't really sound like we're intending to spend the 10 million right away, so.
Some of it will have to be spent to build the new building. Some of it, whether or not, I'm not saying all of it, but some of it will have to be spent. Not this year, most
And it's
likely.
always important that the township has some funds. So even if we build a building, and spend the $10 million, what money will the
We
township
would
have?
not, in my personal opinion, it would be catastrophically moronic
Right.
to spend the entire $10 million on the building and leave the township with absolutely $0 in the
Right.
general fund.
That's why we always had to have X amount of dollars.
As you talk about opening the budget and possibly increasing the taxes, I don't know when the tax bills went out or going out. Usually Upper Pottsgrove sends them out early so that they used to get their money earlier. So if they already went to the printer, that's another cost, or, you know.
I'd have to find out from Diane, I
Yeah.
don't know on that one. But I know they shouldn't go out before our February 15th deadline, because our February 15th is our deadline to change the budget.
Because usually we were collecting taxes by then already.
I can't answer because I'd have to talk to Diane for that.
Yeah.
But the question just is not about the millage. That was my recommendation. It does not mean the board is going to approve that. The question is, does the board want to open up the budget and advertise that we're opening it up so we can discuss paying the library and possibly anything else we need?
Right.
That's the discussion first.
I think Evan had a question, I'm sorry.
Evan,
You mentioned that you need money for a new manager. Are you saying that the budget was adopted without a manager's salary in it?
the budget was adopted with the current manager's salary.
We just got a big raise 6 months ago.
That is correct.
So are you expecting that the new manager you hire will be paid more than that?
I cannot say one way or the other. I can say that
So it's not really an extra expense.
it depends on the cost. Depends on the cost.
Okay.
Depends on the cost.
We use temp services at work, and they're a lot more expensive than hiring the person individually.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would be, find somebody who wants the job, and that's the person you should
I
hire.
would
If you
do
go
that in
through-
a second if we
If
could.
you go
If it
through
was
temp
that
service-
easy, I would do it in a
I
second.
know.
It's a very well-paying job.
I know it's easier said than done,
Yeah,
but
it's
if you
a
go
very
through temp
well-paying job.
service, you're gonna get a temporary employee, and they're gonna really want a long-term job. So if they don't want a long-term job, that's probably not the type of person you want.
We are definitely gonna wanna hire someone with experience in both financial and municipality.
No, we were just saying, we're looking.
Oh, the short term, that's
Yeah,
different. That's
for an
different.
interim manager,
That's
someone
different.
who's just interested in helping out or, coming in.
But that's what you will get.
Because we're probably not gonna get anyone permanent until April, was it April,
That's what the estimate
That's-
was.
that's what
She
the estimate
estimated
was.
that it would be April.
permanently? And I don't
As
think,
an employee though, can I make a comment about that.
Measure.
So,
There were.
my concern was, bringing the temp in, who's not gonna know anything. They're gonna
Right,
come to
exactly.
us as employees and ask us questions and bother us for things. And it's gonna, take away from, we're already swamped. I mean, I have 17 developments on my table right now, so I just feel that doing that and then hiring a manager, we're gonna be doing that all over again. So I would prefer not to do that because, like I said, it's gonna be, again, gonna have to go through the same process of showing that new person and explaining it, you know what I mean? It's just gonna be,
This one person that I spoke about may not be that, okay? I don't know yet. I know their history,
okay.
and they may be, and they, right now, they said strictly to be an interim.
But to her point, there's always
But
a
that's
learning
what,
curve.
that's what
But
I'm
he may
saying.
not.
Yeah, Sherry, do we call it, because we're gonna discuss in executive session of personnel, I know exactly where you're
Well,
coming
I
from.
discuss with you, yes.
We'll discuss it,
Okay,
I will bring up everything we discussed,
okay.
I'll make sure it's covered.
Can I get some clarification from the library people?
Yeah, sure.
Anybody from the library here that can clarify the issue of the timing, the budget, what you need to tell the state that you're good to go and so forth? Anybody, any of you can address that?
Sure, so the $9,000, there's two issues at play. One, the $9,000 we're going to be losing by not having you put us in your budget that we get from the state. And then there's the matter of your contribution to the library in principal, which is, call it $30,000, that was paid 6 years ago and has not been paid in full for 5 years. The $9,000, to get that, we need you to put us in your budget sometime, I would say before March, surely. That's when the state aid people will come knocking and say, we need to give them the money back. They're going to claw back the $9,000. The other matter, which will not necessarily impact that $9,000, is the matter of the municipal contribution, which is about $30,000 annually, and that, as you pointed out, can be done with or without the budget. So they're two separate issues, but they both impact the library financially.
So we need to have it in the budget by March, when you are checked out by the state, they say, oh, they're not gonna give you the $30,000, so they're not gonna give you the money. Is that correct? You said by March or so, you figure that they need to see it in the budget in order for you to get the $9,000 some from the state?
That would theoretically resolve the matter of the $9,000 from the state. It would obviously not resolve the matter of the $30,000 from you.
Right.
Correct.
We cannot wait till March.
Well, I'm just trying to get all the data
As
points.
much information as possible.
If you want them to get the $9,000, we have to open it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Any more discussion as into
No,
opening
I
up the
mean,
budget?
it's simply, we have to open up the budget to put them in the budget.
All those in favor of opening up the budget then?
That's that's it.
That's it, you gotta open it, if you wanna give them money, you have to open it
I
up.
understand that, but
You
were
can
talking
decide,
about
you can decide the quarter mil is what I recommend, it doesn't mean you have to do that. That's a board's decision, right, that's just what my recommendation was. But the board has to decide to open up the budget, if you would like to give them any money in that budget, gives them $9,000. Probably what, if we gave $1, it probably would say, how much is it we have to put in there? For you to get the 9.
It would have to be your state recommended municipal contribution, which is about $30,000.
So it has to be the full 30,
To get the full 9,000, yes.
you get the 9. It can't be like
It's called.
$1,000, whatever it was,
Sure.
just to
So
make sure you got your 9.
It's Title 24, the library code, it's the municipal funding incentive. So the idea, the goal of the state of Pennsylvania is to say, we want to give municipalities a reason to contribute to their library. Think of it like a 401k match. The more you put in, the more your employer matches.
So the max they give you is $9,000 if we give the full.
If you give the full recommended contribution.
Gotcha,
Precisely.
gotcha. It would obviously decreases depending on if we give you less, or maybe it goes automatically to 0. Alright. Okay, I get an understanding of that. You had a question, ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, if you go ahead and vote on opening up the budget, can you limit the reason you're opening that budget to just be for the library and the arboretum? Because you casually mentioned earlier that, you know, we're gonna open up the budget for donating to the library and other things. What consists of other things? Should the board say, we're gonna open up the budget so we can decide how much and when
I don't
to
know if that's
donate
actually legal, to sit there and say you can open the budget only for one particular item.
Or
No.
two, arboretum would be
No,
two,
the
but why,
solicitor would say,
why
which-
can't you?
The solicitor would say that's not lawful,
It's not lawful
correct.
to open the budget,
For a particular item,
but there's two items.
2 items, 3 items, 4 items, you can't, you
Except
have
for
to open up the
People
budget.
review.
And then the community will be able to review that budget that you're opened up, so that they have full understanding of what you're going to vote for.
I'd like to get some clarification again on timelines. We open up the budget tonight, what's the next step? What does that mean? Who does what? When?
I've not been involved with that in the past, so what I would do is I can get a report to you by
Okay,
the end.
I'll start with who. We're talking about hiring, Matt Dallas here to help us with our books. Actually, we're not,
I forgot that expense.
we talked about putting an agreement together. We haven't even, have we approved the hiring? We just
No,
approved-
that's discussion,
Right.
we didn't approve that.
We just approved the agreement.
We
whether
approved
the agreement-
to look at the agreement, we didn't approve an agreement.
Well, what I'm saying is, we don't even have a financial expert to give us advice on this budget we just opened, which I think has to be done by February 15th. I think I'm hearing that number.
He's not the financial expert as into the end all of the budget. He's going to be able to be like, almost like an inside audit, as in to make sure of where and when the money went. He's not there, and we're not hiring him as a person to sit there and say, this is what you should do with your budget. You're not hiring him
Who's
for
gonna
that.
put together the new budget?
There's no new budget. It's
If
the
we
same
open up-
budget, you're
If we
opening.
open up the budget, who's gonna say, this is what you're gonna change, and how you're gonna take some from column B and put it in column C, you're gonna increase this, you're gonna make sure you have a space for your new rents, and, you know, the building rents and so forth, when you have a new manager coming in, they're gonna pay this much, and usually when you take that stuff in the budget, you look at everything else you're already spending, and you say, well, maybe we don't need to spend as much over here, and you take some out of there and put it over here. You know, I'm saying,
Normally-
there's a lot
Yeah.
to do other than
Normally,
just-
that would be the township manager, of course.
Right, and we don't have.
Secondary, it would be if we create the finance committee, which we don't have yet. So in essence, what it'll be the 5 of us will make that decision if we wanna move money or leave it exactly the same, just add.
Just asking the question.
It's gonna have to be, I'm not saying it isn't, you don't wanna be in the circumstances that we're in, but unfortunately, we're in those circumstances. You know, and we have timelines that we have to, it would've been much easier if the transition went through a lot better, it did not. Any other?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna back up a little bit.
Go ahead.
When we approved an agreement for Matt Dallas for financial consulting services.
Yes.
It wasn't my understanding that was strictly to do a look-back audit, so to speak. My understanding was that he was going to be doing that and advising us on, as he used to, 6, 7, 8 years ago, before he wasn't doing it anymore, would advise the manager on how to put your budget together. That's his job, he's an expert at that, I'm saying, so when you just said that we're only looking at him for looking back, but I thought we were talking about bringing him on as.
So you want him to be the financial advisor
to the
and
degree
handle
that
all financial advice to the board?
When you say handle all financial.
As in
advice.
his recommendation is what the board's gonna go by, as in for all investments and the budget and everything. You're putting it all in his lap.
Well, not in his lap. Again, that he's an advisor, he tells you what's possible, he explains the things that you're doing. I wouldn't say, no, he's gonna hand us a budget on a silver platter and we have to vote on it. It's the kind of thing that he'll be working with Lisa and so forth at the township. No, he's not going to give it to us on a silver platter and tell us this or nothing. His advice, his information, He's done it for, it was a business for dozens of years. He did it for townships all over the place. He did it for us.
If the board so chooses, I mean, again, it's up to the 5 members of the board. If the board so chooses to add all consultant to him, as in like, he'll be the full consultant on all the financials, he'll be part, maybe he'll be part of that committee, if we create, he'll be part of the committee, obviously, right? So be it, I'm okay with it, it don't matter to me. But no matter what, we can't get that in the time frame we're trying to get. Because it's gonna take how much time to get that agreement with them, then for us to approve that agreement, then you're saying for him to look at the books and make the determination of how and best way to get the $30,000 to the library in the budget, along with everything else. That's the problem, we don't have till March. We only got to February 15th.
You've just explained why I don't think we're gonna be able to pull this off correctly.
But then they lose $9,000. What I'd like to do is at least open up the budget. At the worst, we approve some type of funds for the library so we can get them the $9,000. If we say no, they can't get the $9,000.
Well, I'm not getting ready to say no. I was getting ready to respond to a vote to say yes, but I just wanted everybody to know what that yes meant. You know, we leave here and we don't have a manager to follow through.
That's
You know, we have nobody to follow through with it at all. I was just trying to get something recorded that how are we going to do it and who is going to do it? That was my question.
Maybe we can get Matt on board really fast. That would be great. All right.
Yeah.
Any more comments?
No.
Any more comments?
I'm good.
All those in favor of opening up the budget? That's it for now, it's opening it up. Didn't give any money to anybody yet. All in favor, say aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? No. All right, we will open up the budget, we will do what we can do. To try to, obviously, I think many of us agree that we wanna support the budget, to support the library, we just have to figure out how. All right, next.